Hello, welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, comment, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We would love to hear your ratings of the movies and shows we review.
Email us your audio file to recappingpodcast@gmail.com and we will play it during the show.
Or DM us on Instagram and we will post and read it on air.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Delora. How are you, sis?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
We talked about, right before we started these seasonal allergies, girl. Other than that, I'm doing well. But the allergies are kicking my butt. So y'all forgive me if y'all hear a little extra sniffling today. I'm going to try to keep it cute.
Yeah, I'm reminded of what Whoopi said on The View about wearing a mask forever. And at this point, it's not just for COVID. It's for Mother Nature as well, because it's real, very real out here in these streets. But Ashley, a lot is going on in the world. We have the Supreme Court justice nominee going through the ringer, but I'm really excited for her and all that she potentially has to offer. And we are still in the heat of award season, specifically with the Grammys and the Oscars. However, in our first quick headlines, we're going to be talking about the Grammys because Kanye ain't gonna be there. In this headline from Variety, Kanye West barred from performing at Grammys due to concerning online behavior. Rep confirms. I know we are breaking the no Kanye rule. However, his antics have been so much lately that it's starting to affect him professionally. We've talked about it briefly about his behavior, his abusive behavior towards his estranged wife, Kim Kardashian, and her new boyfriend, Pete. But after this latest round of harassment, we're starting to see some consequences. First, it was a 24-hour ban on Instagram. And now, and this is according to this article, Kanye got the news last Friday saying that he will no longer be in the lineup. They said, unfortunately, quote unquote. Are you surprised that the Grammys decided not to allow him to perform? And what do you think were their motivations outside of the online behavior?
You know what? I am really conflicted on this Grammys Kanye situation because they're really only banning him from performing. It's not like his nominations. He was nominated, I believe, for 5 awards. It's not like those have been revoked. It's not like he can't attend, but he just can't perform. So I'm not sure what statement they're really making with this or why, because yes, the IG ban for 24 hours makes sense. He's using that platform for his antics, right? But Delora, I've said on the pod about my feelings about the Kanye situation and Kim and how I don't feel like that behavior is right. But equality of treatment when it comes to artists from the Grammys, this doesn't necessarily sit well with me because after this was announced, I look back and I'm like, have any other artists ever been banned from performing at the Grammys before? And there are none to my knowledge. Delora, how many artists have had antics over the years that one would think could possibly get them banned from certain performances in certain shows? Many. So I can't say when it comes to this that I'm like, yeah, this is the thing to do. Because again, I don't understand necessarily their particular point with just this one situation. What about you?
Well, there's two things. The one, I'll start with one. Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah was one of the high profile men that has openly spoke out against Kanye and his abusive behavior, even if it's not just verbally, because as we all know, that age old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's a lie, because words are very powerful and they hurt very much. But Kanye went ham on Trevor Noah and DL. And guess what? Trevor Noah is hosting the Grammys. Now, Trevor Noah did step out in front of it and I said, counsel Kanye, not cancel. But that's a CYA situation. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know if I agree with it either. I don't think Trevor Noah is the type that would throw, the tomato and hide his hand. I don't think that. But I'm sure he's not really upset about it, because we all know that Kanye is a loose cannon. This is the same behavior that we loved at one point that we now realize is actually quite problematic, right? But
so do you feel like the Grammys think that a performance would be the most dangerous platform to give him, because it'll give him free reign to do something that could be crazy potentially, because he could still get up and give a speech. Let's say he wins one of these awards. He could still get up and say something wild during the telecast.
But I don't think Kanye's going to really show up. He's the type, you bruise his ego, he's not going to show up, even if he wins. The second thing I was going to mention,
I think he may still come.
The Kardashian machine. Kris has been very busy. Kris is always busy. Who am I kidding? But after Kim's ill-fated business advice and managing Kim to get in front of it by posting pictures of Pete on her Instagram, which I believe was intentional. And then obviously seeing Kanye spiral as a result. Knowing Kris, she probably was like, something needs to happen. Somebody needs to do something. Thanks. You know what I mean?
Interesting. I mean, as they say, the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder. I'm not negating anything you're saying. And obviously, to your point, the direct correlation between Trevor Noah, I think, is probably the biggest factor with the Grammys. But again, Trevor has distanced himself from their decision. And I still, like I said, you didn't rescind his invitation. He could still pick up and win. I mean, he still had the whole the year he didn't even mean to have a controversy. He showed up and showed out with the taking the mic from Taylor Swift. So he still has a lot of potential problems he could cause just by showing up. Will he? Only time will tell. But I don't know. Surprisingly, given how I feel about Kanye these days, I still just don't know how I feel about this particular decision, because I'm like, there's a lot of artists in this case who you should have banned. And the Grammys, let's be honest, the Grammys have, just like the Oscars, and sometimes an issue with, lack of showing love to diverse talent, diverse categories, diverse nominees. I don't want to say this is racial. I don't want to just say that, but I'm just saying it's not something that's lost on me either when it comes to these sorts of decisions behind the scenes. So I'm just saying, Delora, I have not fallen hard on one side or the other, shockingly, because I was shocked myself.
Interesting. All right, our second quick headline. This is from Deadline. Maury to end after 3 decades. NBC Universal confirms host bittersweet retirement. So this news has been all over social media. What's very interesting about this is on all the online gossip sites, they're all saying that it's canceled. But according to this article, Maury Povich said that 6 years ago, he was ready to retire, but his NBC Universal family asked him to continue the show. Even though I was ready for assisted living, out of loyalty to NBC Universal and my more than 100 staff and crew members, they decided that they would agree to one more deal. So he's very proud of his relationship with NBC Universal, but this will be the 2021-2022 season will be the final. And he's excited for his retirement and he deserves it. You know how many people he's had to chase through the years? According to NBC Universal Syndication Studios, their EVP said Maury is a television icon, a pop culture legend, and we couldn't be more proud to have been a part of his incredible career. Are you ready for the Maury show to be over?
Yes. I mean, I love Maury. And wink, wink, I've known about this for a while, but he's had a hell of a run. I mean, this man has been doing Maury for as long as I can possibly remember, right? And he's 83 years young. Let that man enjoy his retirement with Kanye. Let him go hit some golf balls. Let him go come on down here to the villages in Florida. I don't know what Maury wants to do, but he has had a hell of a run. I can't say I've been an avid watcher of Maury probably within the last, several years, just because I kind of got out of the whole daytime talk show. Remember the 90s were strong for daytime talk shows.
And we're not even just talking, because for me, I grew up loving, the morning news, right? Like the Today Show. I grew up with, Brian Gumbo and Katie Couric. But that like when you're home from when you're home from school sick, and it's like from 12 to like 4 o'clock, there was always something really good to watch.
Girl, me and my brother was summer breaks. Like we watched everything. Yes. We watched everything from Sally
yes.
Jesse Raphael to Jenny
Ricky
Jones. You remember
Ricky
Jenny
Lake.
Jones though?
Yes.
Like
you remember
my favorite Jenny Jones episodes were with bullies, where like you come back to confront your bully from high school.
You remember the first Queen Latifah show?
Yes. I mean, there have been so many talk shows. So it's almost like, as we talked about last week with Nick Cannon ending, talk show space is a hard space to succeed in. And there's been so many that have kind of come and gone over the years. So it is the end of an era for sure. And obviously a lot of paternity tests are going to go undone now without Maury Povich, but let that man enjoy his life, guys. 83, he's done his job.
He's done his job. This show launched in 1991. Girl.
He's been around my whole life.
And I actually remember because he's a journalist and he used to have a real serious news show. But I remember that flip when he's just started doing paternity tests all day, every day.
Yeah, because his portfolio back in the day, I mean, he used to do like the sextuplets and it wouldn't stand today, but were you born a man or a woman? Like he used to have a lot of variety. Yeah, those would not fly today, guys. No. Don't go back and watch those.
The 90s
highly problematic. Highly problematic today. But through the lens of the 1990s, he definitely was a very popular and interesting show for a long time. So enjoy yourself, Maury. Enjoy.
Well-deserved retirement. All right. Variety is very popular today. Donald Glover explains his approach to Atlanta season 3. We wanted to make a Black fairy tale. I just wanted to bring up this conversation because the show has been gone since let me see here. I lost my spot. I believe 2020 was the last season that we got.
So I thought it was 2018, girl.
Was it 2018?
I thought it was 2018 because I'm like, it's been 11 years since I saw a new episode of Atlanta.
It's been far too long, and it's coming back March 24th. Are you excited for its return?
I'm excited, but at the same time, it's been 11 years, so I need a refresh. I know, to your point, I saw the Variety article where they kind of list the things to remember from the first 2 seasons. Because, man, the episode that still sticks out the most vividly to me, Delora, that Teddy Perkins episode, some of the creepiest television I have ever seen from the mind of Donald freaking Glover. And you had to put the man who we already got traumatized from Get Out in this situation. It was just like trauma on trauma.
I think what I love so much about this show is when we were first introduced to it, we had no idea who Brian Teray Henry was. We had no idea who Lakeith Stanfield was.
Paperboy.
We didn't know who ZZ was. Like, they are all bona fide stars, and I am here for it.
Indeed.
And, you know, Donald Glover is a unique gentleman. Obviously, he's immensely talented, but his humor is just so dark sometimes. And to your point, that is definitely the same episode that sticks out to me.
Did you watch him in Community? Because Community is one of those shows I've tried to get into, but I can't. But I feel like maybe I think Community was the one he was in, isn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
and no,
I feel like
I did not
to like watch that to get an appreciation for some of his like earlier work.
I agree because I love Yvette, and I know she was a main cast member on that show, but I just couldn't get into it as well. I don't know what it was. So, I mean, the same way I couldn't get into what was it? Something in Rex, Parks and Recs.
I love Parks and Rec. That's my show. Oh yeah. That's my show. But yeah, I need to try. But to your point, yeah, Donald Glover is interesting. I feel like creatively, I'm curious to see what they do with these final 2 seasons, just because you don't know what to expect. It's not like he formats this show in like a traditional way.
Not at all.
So that's kind of exciting. Yeah. Because they were even saying like, it's not like season 3 picks back up where season 2 ended. So like, I'm just curious creatively what he's come up with. You know what I mean? That's what excites me.
And just like that, I just remember my favorite episode. It's when Paperboy needed a haircut. And he literally had to drive all over the place for a haircut. And was Cat Williams in that episode too? I think he was in that. Was it that one? I think those are my favorite two. The haircut one, and then the Cat Williams one. I feel like there's an alligator in that.
Wouldn't be surprising.
All right. Let's get into our hot topic. All right, Ashley. As I mentioned at the top of the podcast, award season, the big daddy of music and the big daddy of movies are coming. And we are going to put our predictions on wax. Okay. This is the 94th Oscars. And we're going to talk about the top categories here. Do you have your ballot, or do you have a ballot in front of you, Ashley?
Pulling it up as we speak, ma'am. I am ready.
All right. So let's do actor in a leading role. Will Smith.
Absolutely. If you guys remember, I made a very strong statement in a recent episode where I said if Will Smith does not win, this may be the last Oscars telecast I ever watch. I'm still standing by that statement, Delora. This man better win.
Period.
You hear that? You hear that? Y'all have till tomorrow, till ballots close. Will Smith better win.
You know what would suck is if he won everything but this. I would be so pissed off. I would just not get over it. I wouldn't get over it.
It would be another slap in the face, and I'm tired of being slapped. I'm tired. My face is tired. And Will Packer is doing the Oscars this year.
Yes,
Will Smith better win. Will, you hear me?
I think it's interesting. Let's talk about that, since the Oscars is our main hot topic. It was Will Packer's. He could have been part of that conversation of removing those categories from the live show since he's the producer of the show. Does that change how you feel about this new change?
I mean, I said, even when we talked about this before, that I felt that content wise something had to be done, because even in his quote he said it can be many things, but what it can't be is boring. And I agree with that. It's a content problem because you have to entice people to want to view this. This, at the end of the day, is still entertainment. It is a show. So I still stand on that. Now, what influence Will Packer has over that versus the Academy, I'm not really sure. I'm
unsure too, but I'm wouldn't be surprised if there was some type of conversation.
I'm sure he definitely put his 2 cents in to say, hey, listen, here's my thoughts of how we can tighten this up, how we can make this more relevant, how we can make this more entertaining, etc. And I'm sure he's not going to disappoint me. But
are you excited for the Viewers' Choice Award? Is it going to mean anything?
I didn't even know there was a Viewers' Choice Award.
Yeah, that's what they're implementing this year at the Oscars.
I didn't even realize that. Who's up for Viewers' Choice?
I don't know it offhand, but the Oscars embrace of a Twitter Choice Award is a new solution to an old problem. This is from February 23rd this year.
A Twitter's choice. So people are voting specifically on Twitter.
Yep. And this is to combat the low viewership, as you mentioned, because in 2021, the all-time low was 9.85 million viewers. That was rough. But again, this Twitter Oscar has like box office favorites like Spider-Man No Way Home and things like that. So
I just wonder if it's going to have less value to the industry itself than the traditional categories.
I agree. Yeah, it should be interesting. And do they get a legit Oscar or do they get like a certificate or something? That's
do they get a surfboard? Is this the Teen Choice Awards?
All right. Actor in a supporting role. Troy.
Yeah, I would agree, especially because we just talked about Coda. He was phenomenal and he's been winning multiple awards. So I just can't imagine it going to anyone else.
Actress in a leading role.
This one I'm still on the fence about, because if you had asked me before these last couple of awards, it was Nicole Kidman shoo-in, but now I'm really feeling like Jessica Chastain has pulled out in front for her role in The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
I agree. I'm on the same page. Although Nicole wasn't my front runner. My front runner was Olivia Colman. Yeah. And with Kristen, I didn't think she was going to get it because she wasn't even acknowledged at the BAFTAs or the SAG. So I didn't think that was a viable choice. And Penelope, I want to highlight her. So this year, there's several couples nominated. So she and Javier are nominated this year, along with Kristen Dunst and her boo Jessie are nominated. And they're saying this is the first time 2 couples have been nominated in the same year. So it should be fun. And Kirsten is engaged to her boo. So very exciting. So I agree.
I love that dress she wore, that white wedding dress she wore recently. It was beautiful.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm going to have to look that up. Actress in a supporting role.
That's a no-brainer.
It is. Although Ingenue.
She did a phenomenal job, but Ariana's going to win it. What do you think about Rachel Ziegler not getting invited to the Oscars, though?
Yeah, I think it's a bad look. I know they have the excuse of, each movie or studio has so many tickets, but she was the lead of the best picture nominee. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't make any sense. She's freaking Maria. She's Maria and she can't go to the Oscars. Shut the front door. It's
pretty wild. They're and I feel like they're trying to put it off on the studio or whoever allocates the tickets. But if I were the Oscars, I'd be like, listen, we will personally deliver you an additional ticket. That's clearly absurd that you would not get invited to the awards. And I know they also said they cut down on the amount this year because of COVID and all of that, and trying to make sure that you have the space in the Kodak Theater, what have you. But there's no, when else has the lead of a film that is nominated not been invited to the awards?
This is a Steven Spielberg film. This is a Disney film. This film had budget.
It's West Side Story. There's no way. It makes absolutely no sense. That was wild to me.
So 2 things on West Side Story. So what I got mixed up, because I'm looking at this website, I'm looking at Today, and it says, here are all the ways the Oscars are making history in 2022. Kristen Stewart and Ariana DeBose are the first 2 openly queer or queer identifying actors nominated in the same year.
That sounds insane, but okay.
It sounds insane. And this is West Side Story is the second film to be nominated as a remake. So we all know the first West Side Story happened in 1961, and the 2021 version is now nominated. It only happened one other time with Mutiny on the Bounty. It won its Best Picture Oscar in 1936, while the new version was only nominated in 1963. So some fun facts there. All right, animated feature film.
Encanto.
Yes, ma'am. Check out that recap, you guys. Cinematography.
That's interesting, because I haven't really paid attention to who's been winning cinematography at the other award shows, and I haven't seen anything but one of these films. So based on that, I guess I'm gonna give it to Dune, but I'm sure all of them had amazing cinemas. I mean, the tragedy of Macbeth, just the fact that it was in black and white and all of that. I think Nightmare Alley was had a lot of vivid color.
Yes.
Power of the Dog, I mean, obviously it's been a darling, and then West Side Story musical. So I have to give it to Dune just because it's really the only one that I've seen. What about you?
The Tragedy of Macbeth. I'll give it to that. Costume.
I have to give it to Cruella, because Cruella was fabulous with the costume. I mean, it was about fashion.
Fashion. And I was really nervous about that. Like, when I saw the previews, I wasn't really impressed by the trailers. And so it took us watching the film to be like, oh, they brought it.
Oh,
they absolutely brought it.
I loved it. Check out that recap, guys.
Yes, ma'am. And I didn't know this, but West Side Story costumes was by the first Black male costume designer nominated for an Oscar in the category.
Nice.
Yeah. We see out here, Paul. All right. Directing.
I'll give it to Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. Bless her soul. I'm sure she's learned her lesson about her acceptance speeches.
Thank God for Jesus. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and click that as well. All right, so I'm going to do a few more. Best original song.
Be Alive from King Richard. Music and lyrics by Dixon and Beyonce Knowles Carter. That's who I'm rooting for anyway. Who's probably going to win is probably going to be No Time to Die. But who I'm rooting for, Be Alive.
Can I root for more than one person?
You can root for as many people as you want. I know you're also rooting, I'm sure, for your boy Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I am. He is one award away from EGOT. And granted, it's an arbitrary thing to have, sure. But he has a freaking Peabody. Like, he needs to go ahead and just get it over with. Get his Oscar. He's going to be nominated for the next 2 years anyway for Oscar for Best Song. This is his second or third time anyway. So
yeah, that's why I'm going to need Beyonce to go ahead and get it now. It's time for Beyonce to get that Oscar. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm rooting for my boy Lynn, so I'm just gonna say Dos Orquesitas. I'm saying that completely wrong, and I actually interpreted it incorrectly as well during our recap. So check out that recap. I said it meant two butterflies. It actually means two caterpillars.
Oh, okay.
So as the song progresses, he then talks about how they grow into butterflies, which makes it even more emotional and beautiful. And that freaking movie. All right. Production design.
I was going to say, we got to talk production design. And we had Hannah Beekler on who said that her prediction is the tragedy of Macbeth. So I'm going to go with the expert's opinion here, the tragedy of Macbeth.
Same. And we'll just finish it up with best picture because we don't have to necessarily go into adapted screenplay or original screenplay. Because again, I guess when it comes to these movies, I'm not as moved. I mean, I know we have a boatload of best picture nominees, but I don't know. There isn't one movie that I'm just like, you know what I mean? What are your thoughts?
For best picture?
Yeah.
So before I would have absolutely said The Power of the Dog, just because The Power of the Dog has such momentum going into award season rather. But Coda is ending on such a strong note that now I'm leaning Coda. Unless there, is a surprise somehow of something else kind of getting the golden statue, I'm gonna put my final ballot in for Coda. That's my choice.
I'm choosing Coda as well, simply because it's a feel-good movie. And I do feel like this is a feel-good year because a lot of stuff is going on. Some years, the heavy stuff, you feel the acclaim and all that. But
well, again, to our point, we watched and recap Coda. I don't really know if I'm ever going to watch The Power of the Dog. And that is no offense whatsoever to the creators, the actors, everybody who put in the work for that film. It just I have not been compelled to watch it yet. So that's my personal taste. That's my personal interest.
Ashley, my final note on the Oscars. Are you ready for this 3 hosts setup?
Yes, I am ready. No offense again to Amy Schumer, who I was confusing with Amy Poehler when we first talked about this, but I am excited to see. I know they'll each kind of have their own standalone moment. So I feel like they all have different flavors when it comes to comedy. So I'm excited to see what they do with their individual little bits and segments. And, women very rarely let me down when it comes to entertainment. So I feel like it's not going to be cringy and crazy and any of those things. So I'm looking forward to it. And then if we get this performance from Beyonce, I mean, my life will be made. So
yes, can you elaborate on that? I got the article.
Yeah, so Variety basically reported the day that we're recording, and we're recording early, guys, so this may be a little old news to you by the time you're listening, that Beyonce may be doing a performance from tennis courts in Compton of Be Alive. It's obviously to Beyonce's usual standard of being kept under wraps and nobody really talking about it, and they can't get a quote from anybody to confirm, but it's possible that, hey, she may turn it up and turn it out and perform Be Alive in Compton.
And it'll probably be her only time performing the song too. So that's going to be probably epic. I think it's smart considering all the COVID stuff going on too. Granted, we've never had anything like this done before at the Oscars.
But also, are we going to get like a Will Smith freestyle real quick on it? Because Big Willie, Big Willie is a rapper, lest we forget.
I mean, he is many things. Let's not forget that.
First rapper to win a Grammy still.
Yes,
I mean, him and Jazzy Jeff. So, I would be curious, but, obviously any performance Beyonce does is going to be fire. And this is coming on the heels of, I was just rewatched Homecoming on Netflix today. So I'm like in my Beyonce feelings at the moment because I was supposed to be working, guys. And I'm like, I'm going to put this on as background. And I was still so compelled to look up More Than Not to still relive the magic of Beachella.
Epic. Did you see Tyler Perry's remake of it?
No. Did he do it on Medea Homecoming?
Yes.
So I fell asleep on that movie. I need to rewatch it. I'm so sorry.
Please do. He is a fool. Tyler Perry is many things. Wealthy, yes. His movies leave much to be desired. But what he does well is Medea. And him being Medea as Beyonce, everything. Everything.
I love it. I'm really gonna have to rewatch that movie, I guess, or at least fast forward just to that one scene.
It's at the end. So you technically do not have to watch the movie. You could just go to the end credits.
Cool. Will do. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm actually more excited to watch this year's Oscars because of this buildup of these sorts of like nuggets. So that is saying something right there.
Okay, Will Packer.
Maybe I slid a resume into Will Packer Productions. Y'all never know.
We've recapped several of his projects as well. Go check out Think Like a Man. All right, Ashley, what are we recapping next week, I should say?
So guys, if you've been on Netflix within the last week, I'm sure you're aware of the latest Ryan Reynolds project, literally called The Adam Project, that has been number one for a little bit. Yes. So that's what we're going to be hitting you guys with on Tuesday. Cannot wait to talk about it. It's like for like Marvel lovers unite with this cast.
But not a Marvel movie.
But not a Marvel movie.
Yeah, but there's definitely elements, and we'll definitely get into that.
They definitely drop some gems, such as the multiverse is referenced. So, we all know what it is, and they make fun of it. And it's also a reunion of Ryan Reynolds with the director of Free Guy, which both Delora and I enjoyed. And he's also slated to be the director for Deadpool 3. So if you guys have not watched this yet, feel free to check it out. Come back.
My rom-com gang out here, gang, a reunion of Mark Ruffalo and Jen Garner.
13 going on 30. Okay, guys, check it out. Come back, stick with us for the recap. Can't wait to talk shop. See you then.
Bye.